This channel is the logbook of my curious life. No artificial intelligence was used to corrupt my story. I share my thoughts, my emotions, and my own life experience. My statements don't represent universal truth. They only reflect my own perception of life. Listen carefully, think critically, react accordingly. Welcome to the Unknown Traveler Experience. I wonder if they are not human, or maybe it's me who is not human. How to navigate a world where malice and division reign supreme over kindness and unity? How can history repeat itself endlessly, while having all the past knowledge to avoid those same mistakes? How can an evolved species capable of self-reflection and change still fight over territory and resources like primitive beings in the name of progress? I searched for so long a meaning for human existence. I only found and created problems without any solutions to them, and I completely lost my faith in humans. I searched for so long a meaning for my life that I lost my own self in my mind. I lost my peace and the joy of being alive. Is it foolish to believe this world is an open-air hell? That it is up to us to create our own paradise, blindfolding ourselves until we are numb enough to smile? Am I naive to think this life cannot be real? That such a beautifully poisoned gift could not be anything more than a test? That all my dreams, my greatest desires for peace, happiness, unity, and support will only manifest when I am no longer here, when I can't breathe anymore? How can we share and spread love and peace in a world built exclusively on ideas of hatred and war? I searched for a solution for decades without finding a single one, except that humans love, support, and sustain these ideas. Consciously or not, we are conditioned from birth to keep this will alive until it slowly disappears with us in death. We are prisoners of war we never chose. We fight every single day against others. We are even at war against our own selves during our entire life. Is my conscience a luxury I shouldn't worry about? Or are we simply cursed by the remorse of being at the top of the chain? If we were prey to something other than ourselves, humans, would remorse and regret even exist? I don't expect an answer because, deep down, I already know it. I just refuse to accept it. It feels like life has an inherently contradictory and paradoxical nature, like my own mind. I guess it's time to accept that the balance of the world may be about chaos, negativity, and disorder. Good and order might only exist in the human mind as a way to structure our experience of life, a way of helping us to survive and socially bond with others. Maybe the current world doesn't have a problem nor a solution to find, like a mystery. Maybe the disease, the cancer of this current world, is not chaos and negativity, but order and positivity. And then, from a certain perspective, I am the gangrene seeking to consume this world like a cancer. I wonder if human consciousness is responsible for all this suffering, or simply knowledge, because if so, I truly miss my ignorance. Do you call this living? I fake my own life for others. Because I was different, I was special. And when you are different from others, you can either be admired or rejected. You know humans can be really gentle or evil when it comes to difference. So, when I was young, I needed to pick a side, being the harassed kid, the bully, the follower, the introverted isolated from others, or the cool one with lots of friends. And I guess I chose the cool kid. It was fun, but now I regret the consequences. The wounds it left me are still present, and only time can heal them. I always had this great social awareness, this pattern recognition and out-of-the-box thinking that helped me survive life. I wasn't even a teenager when I was already deeply learning psychological concepts. I had a deep need to understand humans because I wanted to be understood. Most kids were hanging out outside, while I was learning science, astrophysics, and mathematical concepts. In my environment, people hated knowledge because it had the power to make them feel less important, as if it would steal the attention they were seeking. So growing up, I learned to keep my hobbies and inner thoughts secret. But it was too late. I had already drowned in the anxiety of knowing society's and humanity's flaws. That's when I decided to choose. Since I couldn't be myself around growing teenagers, I created a persona of what my life could be if I changed my identity. And I had a lot of fun impersonating this cool guy. Because I was appreciated, I had influence, and was always trusted on many subjects because of my experience. I was giving life advice and was feeling useful to other people. I could express myself with light-hearted joke, and people were listening to me. It gave me joy. But deep inside, the unease was growing bigger and bigger throughout all my teenager's years, until, eventually, at the end of high school, I started to drown. From toxic relationships to alcohol and substance abuse, coupled with sad music, I didn't even realize I was trying to end my life through the slow suicide of the body. When the mind is collapsing, fueled by our inner desire, the only choice the spirit has to send a warning that something is wrong in our life is through our own body. The body and physical ability decaying are things we can't ignore indefinitely. But I was so deep in my habits, I didn't receive the message properly. My life started to feel like a slow self-destruction, and instead of reacting, I found real pleasure inside this low state of mind. I started to like depression and that pessimistic, nihilistic view of life. I even found comfort and security in the darkness and cold apathy presented to me, so much it became my home, my safe place. I had completely lost my joy, all my love, and my inner peace like it had never existed in my life. My brain completely rewired itself and crashed out. I was too deep in this fake life, completely disconnected from my soul. I had completely lost myself. The only way my soul could whisper me to wake up was through my own body, the only thing I could still see and feel every day. I remember one day, after a party, coming home and seeing myself in the mirror. I didn't recognize myself. I just stared into my own eyes for like an hour, in complete silence. Tears gradually filled my eyes before slowly falling down my cheek. I felt cold, like a lifeless body. I couldn't even talk or look away from the mirror. I was alarmed at the danger of the situation I had put myself into. The first word I said out loud was sorry. I was apologizing to myself for living this life because that wasn't who I used to be. I had flashbacks of happy moments as a kid and remembered that I actually knew what real happiness was. For the first time in years, I saw a light in my eyes. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and had this feeling it could either be death waiting at the end of this path or a great life waiting for me. But I was walking on both sides at the same time. It wasn't easy for me to burn the refuge I had built to feel safe. It was hard and painful to abandon all my toxic friends, my unhealthy habits, and most importantly, to change my pessimistic ideology. But I chose to be brave. I didn't surrender and accepted pain as a healing journey, like alcohol on an open wound. I knew it was for the greater good, and soon it would be an insignificant memory of my life. Even if it took a really long time, even if I suffered and crawled on the ground to get out and cut all the ties to my past life, I was every day moving forward without looking back. I completely disconnected from social media. I stopped being available to people who didn't value who I was, people who saw me as someone I was not. I changed. And a few years later, I decided to come back to public life, to meet new people and create new opportunities for myself. I felt completely reborn. I discovered a strong willpower I wasn't even aware I could possess and was so happy of my life. I could literally feel the burning love I had for living life. But the reality check was brutal. You know, self-isolation is dangerous. When you start liking yourself alone, people start to feel like a threat to your own well-being. When I came back on social media, I felt sick watching posts and information gladly oversharing the suffering and hate on four sides of the world. I was too weak for the brutal reality of life. I quickly realized that the shell I built for myself when I was young was necessary for my own sanity. I needed it to survive. Being weak as an adult is hard. I had responsibilities on my shoulders. I needed to take care of myself and still have the courage to continue healing, to stay authentic, to stay kind and gentle, even to people who don't deserve it. So hard, in fact, that I was constantly rejected because I was authentic to myself and would not trade my values to be appreciated anymore. You know, when the global norm is to pet everyone the way they like it, not laughing at people's suffering, faking yourself to please others, or not taking part in conversations seem offensive to most people. Being a peaceful human who stays neutral, but can stand his ground and say out loud what he doesn't like about someone's attitude or beliefs, can raise all the red flags of fake people. You quickly become the villain in the story of their life, but you're not really. They just don't realize how bad they are. So every day became a war with myself, from how I talked to how I acted, no matter the situation, authority or influence pressure I could feel. I had to avoid conflict and unhealthy relationship not aligned with who I was and represent. But I wanted to help these people suffering so bad, I had to bite my tongue not to do it. There was too many people suffering around me. My savior syndrome kicked back, and I couldn't just ignore what was happening. Not only around me, but in the whole world. I wasn't at peace anymore, and my old habits came back naturally. The need to find a solution to this chaotic world returned in just a few months, and self-destruction came back slightly in my life, as a remedy to avoid going insane, or worse, becoming like them. I accept I can't change anything outside of myself in my current situation, except myself, because if the shadow follows the movements of my body, which itself follows my thoughts, I know that my perception of reality is the shadow of my thoughts. I need to be really careful of what I think, because it could become a reality I end up believing my whole life. Sometimes I wonder, could this new era of consciousness be the greatest burden of existence? The burden of life is universal. It manifests uniquely for each of us, shaped by our experiences, choices, and inner struggles. In the quest for existence, life consists of finding the heaviest burden we can carry and continuing to move forward with this load, whether it be emotional, intellectual, or spiritual. But I no longer wish to crawl, collapse from exhaustion, and endure the weight of the world's problems in search of a solution as a slave to my thoughts. I no longer wish to die with a heavy heart filled with conscience and knowledge, as the flavor of a life that seems bland to a constantly restless mind. Thus recently, I have begun learning to lighten myself of the accumulated baggage of my memories, to harness my true potential in its simplest form without complicating my existence, that of others, or this reality. I admit that life is not meant to be understood or solved due to its inherently contradictory and paradoxical nature. I guess we should just laugh at how absurd it can be and love to be a part of it. So, today is my first step as an unknown traveler in life, sharing his experiences as a human being. I hope you will also recognize yourself in my journey. I hope you enjoyed this artistic experience. I don't seek validation or wish to be understood, but I am grateful if my energy resonated with your soul. Thanks to everyone supporting my art expression by joining us in the Unknown Traveler Hub. Feel free to share your own experience in the comments. Exchanging thoughts and ideas expand our life perspective. It helps us challenge our mind and break our mental limitations. Our community is a safe place for everyone. We openly discuss about our own journey. The only rule is to respect everyone's opinion and not impose your ideology on others. Everyone approaches life differently, and no opinions are inferior or less interesting. A matured plant is no better than a seed. Only growth and time are separating them. Don't be afraid to ask questions or to need support. Someone will love to speak. Tell us your story and embrace who you are. Someone will love to hear. Look curiously. You could find a story that you relate to and deeply feel in your heart. It's all about love and light. Give energy and receive it back. Welcome to the Unknown Traveler Hub.